So Terry and I started picking up all of these pieces of wood and throwing it in the back of her truck and Christy's truck. And so we got that cleaned out. And then we had Scott Hughes and his landscaping team try to get the vines off of the building and get the alley totally cleaned out of not just debris, but of the big vines.
Sure.
And then he also did the back of the Barrow building. They mowed it all and they got as many of the vines off as they could.
You are listening to Not on the Payroll right here at notonthepayroll.com. You can check us out at Facebook, check us out at YouTube, check us out at Rumble. You can also check out our content over at Twitter. All you have to do is look for the gorilla with the red headphones and you will be off to the races. All of our information, all of our content has that as our mascot. So just be looking for that, or you may be led astray. Having said that, this morning I am sitting down with Frida Dillenbeck. She is the chair for the Newton County, Texas Revitalization Group. Frida, I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule for us to sit down.
Thank you.
So tell me, and maybe tell some of the listeners, what is, people see stuff online, people see stuff on Facebook and everything, but, it's always best to have a good definition as to what you guys call NRG.
Right.
What is it? What is it exactly?
It is a group of concerned citizens who came together, and our first meeting was in February.
Okay.
And we met at El Flamingo so that we could contribute to the local economy.
Sure.
So after the meeting, most of us stayed and had lunch. And then we've just had meetings monthly since then. But our mission is to engage the community so that we have people, these concerned citizens, come together and figure out ways to help lift up Newton.
Okay.
So that we brighten our city, that we are engaging with churches, other not-for-profits,
right.
Just people in general, so that we can show pride in our city and help our local property owners that are in town by contributing to the local economy,
right.
by focusing on, let's use local.
Right.
Let's help our local business owners succeed.
Sure. Whatever
they are, we need to help them succeed. They're probably part of our family.
Right. So, having said that, have you seen this thing grow? Or, is it kind of picking up steam?
Yes, it has. Because our first meeting, we had 17. The second one, I think we had probably 20. And the third one, the third meeting, we had nearly 30 people.
Wow.
And it's just 3 months in, and we've gotten that many. And I've gotten many offers for contributions and donations. But I'm like, let's wait on that because we have to have our full not-for-profit application approved by the state and the federal government so that we have a not-for-profit status.
Right.
And that way donations can be tax deductible. So I've just asked everyone who's offered to keep that in mind for a later date.
Sure.
Once we get all of the approvals done so that people can take it as a tax deduction. And there's no ifs and or buts what's going on with the dollars. We want it in the bank for NRG, which is our nickname, NRG. Right. We just want it to be all up and up.
Right. So how far are you guys out from that actually happening?
Well, it should be 2 to 3 months, and we'll have all the paperwork done, and then we'll have a website. We will have a link so that you can contribute online.
Right.
And that way it goes straight to the bank.
Yeah.
And then our board is made up of 9 people, and 3 of our members will be approving and signing checks, and we're only check. We're not credit card, no debit card.
Sure.
And all of the expenses will be discussed.
Sure.
so that we make good decisions about how better to help our community.
So take me through one of the meetings. So it basically, obviously, there's going to be, this is what we've done thus far. Okay, you have that
Right.
portion, and then is it kind of a round table as to everybody looking at what needs they see out here?
Right. We start with old business. So we start with our prior month discussions. We approve those minutes, and then we move on to new business, which is mostly about our projects, like the mural project and how that's going.
Sure.
And possibly a kids garden.
Right.
So I've reached out to county people to ask for help in locating a possible plot of land that we could make a kids garden, which eventually in my mind would be expanded to include anyone. So it would be a community garden with kids specific activities so that we're all involved. And there's so many people in this community that are avid gardeners.
Sure.
And they grow vegetables just like we do.
Yeah.
And kids need to learn how to grow their own vegetables if they want to, and how it works, where your food comes from.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Very cool. Very cool. It almost, to me, it makes me wonder why it's taken this long to get something like this cranked up and started.
Well, I think there are people who have wanted to do things like this, but they just couldn't get any traction. They just couldn't get any motivation behind the community to make it happen. But I think with a group of citizens like we have currently, that there's enough interest and enough motivation behind it that we will get some traction, and we will have people. And I'm always about asking for help. We need help doing these things. We need help. Who can help me?
Right.
Because I'm not asking for myself.
Right.
I'm asking for Newton. I'm asking for the residents and citizens of Newton, Texas, to help them live a great, beautiful community life. There's so many wonderful people that live here.
Sure.
They're filled with joy and love, and they love seeing their neighbor. When they go to the grocery, you see everybody.
Yeah.
Well, why can't we do that everywhere? Why can't we do that on routine at the kids' garden? Mural projects, little festivals from here and there, church activities. We need to support our local churches when they have food, sales to sponsor certain situations or certain things they want at their church. We need to go. We need to buy that lunch.
Right. It's interesting you say this, because just a couple of days ago, I heard Madeline Foster, who is local.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not exactly, you have to forgive me, but I don't know exactly where she went recently, and did very well.
Yes.
Okay. Got chosen out of five young ladies. But one of the statements that came away from there was that it was interesting that our community here got behind her in such a way.
Yes.
Because some of the other girls, the majority of the other girls, did not have that.
Right.
And so
when Madeline was gaining votes, if you went online and looked at her vote bucket against all the other little girls, she was over 250 votes. The others were like in the 50s, 40s, and 30s.
Wow.
And when she is part of this group of 5 young women, it was amazing, because the comments were, she comes from such a small town, but everyone is rallying. If you went on Facebook and saw all the comments below the post about what she has won and attained, it was amazing.
Sure.
The community is behind her.
Right.
They are all excited for her.
Yeah.
And she is a lovely young woman.
Sure, absolutely. I think what's interesting to me out of that whole idea is that for lack of a better way of putting it, the energy is already here.
Yes.
Okay. For this type of rallying.
Yes.
And I think it's easy for us I think it's easy for us a lot of times to gather behind someone else who's going outside of the community than to take some of that energy and say, okay, let's gather up together. Let's get over the last names. Let's get over the old wars. Let's get over the, what's the old Hatfield McCoy?
Right.
Let's get over all that.
Yes.
Let's come together. We're in 2023. Nobody's getting in a shootout down here on the square. Okay. Let's move forward and let's see how we can take, because everybody, I mean, there is a real hometown thing here that I don't think you get in the surrounding towns.
Oh, no.
I mean, just my opinion, but I think that's one of the things that made me fall in love with this place is that there is, of course, the square is always nostalgic anytime you go to a county square. But at the same time, it's almost like there's a vibe here in this county to really rally behind people. But I think that same rallying thing, if we can all just lay down some of our preconceived ideas or maybe past failures.
Right.
Because I mean, it's not like this is the first time somebody's actually put their shoulder against, or towards something that would benefit. You know what I'm saying? There was, interestingly enough, you guys starting the mural project. There's a mural coming straight into town off of 87.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we've had this, so it's a kind of a cycle, but in a way, I think at this point we have new blood coming into the community. And I think if we can rally some of the new blood, some of the old blood, and bring everybody together and say, hey, what do we want this town to look like? Because, it's like we were talking beforehand. So, what is the difference between Jasper and Newton? Mm-hmm. Well, the only difference is the economic difference of Walmart.
Right.
Walmart has had that impact over there. So what are we going to be? We're not ever going to get a Walmart over here because we're within 30 miles of the Walmart. Mm-hmm. They're never going to put one here. So we've got to figure out over here, what do we want our town to look like? What are some of the amenities that we want over here that draw people to towns, draw people to cities all across the state of Texas?
Right.
What are some of those things that we want to highlight?
Well, I think even though we want to draw other people in, we also want to serve our community.
Sure.
So we want our kids to have a successful life here. We want to grow our children and allow them to have really great memories of Newton.
Right.
And it not be just a one-hit wonder, if you will.
Sure.
That it's consistently, and there's a chain that's coming up behind our current leaders so that we're training the people that are coming up in the future, that we're not just a group of 50-year-olds getting things done. Yeah. We have to have those children and then junior high and then high schoolers and then college kids who go, you know what I can do in Newton? I can go back to Newton and I can build whatever, or I can refurbish this old property and make it into a functioning business, whatever that may be, to serve the community. And whatever that is, that other people from other areas are like, oh, well, when you listen to On the Road Texas weekly, there's always these interesting things. Yep. We can certainly have that here in Newton. We just have to figure out as a community what that is and how we can help that business grow and prosper and be sustainable, because we want everything to be sustainable. We want to raise our children with good memories.
Sure.
We want it to be a happy place, and people here are happy.
Yeah.
They are loving, kind, generous, wonderful people.
Right.
But unfortunately, right now, there's no businesses. They can't make a living here.
Right. Everybody has to commute in some sort of way.
Exactly. Yeah. When I was growing up, there were 3 different grocery stores. There were clothes shops on the square. There was 2 florists. There were all these different things. But after hurricanes and the timber industry, I get that. But we didn't have that getting over the hump of what are we going to do now and how are we going to help our community.
Sure.
I think our city and county leaders have done a great job of gaining grant money for the infrastructure,
Right.
for the water projects, for the park projects, because we have a beautiful park and
Right.
they're going to make improvements to it,
Sure.
so that children have more activities at the park.
Right.
Things like that, which are wonderful and much needed, because we have lots of little kids here who like going to the park.
Right.
Creating those wonderful memories, so they want to, if they don't stay here, they want to return here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a big part of how these little towns die off anyway, is that we're always exporting the values, and it doesn't have a boomerang effect sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes it does after sometimes it boomerangs back around once we've lost energy for life.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so, a kid goes out, goes in the military, kid goes out, goes into this beauty world, this pageant world, this type of thing. And then they head off in that direction, and that takes them down life's journey and all this stuff. And the next thing you know, they're in their, mid to late 50s, kids in tow and the whole 9 yards. And here they come back here to raise them in a small community. Mm-hmm. But continuing to keep those values stirred up here on a local level, I think matters.
It does matter.
It matters for me, because I've got 2 kids here that I'm raising here, and I'm almost in my 50s. So, I completely get it. But have you noticed any negative response to what you guys are doing?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. No kind of pushback.
Nope.
That's good.
Mm-mm.
That's a good thing. I think it's going to speak volumes over time, where, once you continue to grow, it's going to continue to speak volumes, because all these towns are like, a cluster of spider webs. Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody's kin to everybody. We're all practically cousins on some way, shape, or form.
Well, in Newton specifically.
And I know some stories.
Everybody's related.
And I know some stories about my great grandfathers, which we won't go into. But families spread out. We'll just say that much, right? And so, but I think one of the nice parts is, because of that, I've heard about this in other towns where there are small groups where ladies come together, okay? And I was told by a friend of mine who's pretty dialed in on what's going on. He said, if you want to get anything done in this town, you go to that meeting. And he said, because those are the wives, mothers, sisters, aunts of all of the men in the community who have access to anything.
Right.
And if it becomes important to them,
yes.
And I think that is very, very interesting to me, even with this process of what's going on here. Just the interwoven connectedness everything is, because it's like, if we sit down with 10 people, we could probably come up with 100 different names in the community that can actually pull something off.
Right.
So I think that's going to be interesting to watch, how the people continue to rally behind this thing. What are some of the things that you guys have been able to accomplish thus far?
Well, the Tina Barrow and Meredith Love
Okay.
have been working on the sports mural.
Okay.
And so that is nearly done. And then John Jefferson, who owns one of the buildings downtown, with the fishing mural on the side.
Okay.
Tina and Meredith, along with some students, are going to start refurbishing that.
Okay.
And Mr. Jefferson has given approval that, like a pine tree forest
Right.
mural go up. And the picture of the pine tree forest is from the History Center.
Okay.
Because this historically has been a timber community of pine trees.
Right.
So he's given approval for that. And then we've spoken with the Agape School and the old feed store,
Right.
which is owned by Vicki and Lee Filial, about possibly doing some murals over there.
Right.
potentially on Bob's Pawn Shop,
Okay.
that a welcome to Newton. Fun things like that
Yeah.
to get started. So those two murals are done. And then the Bean Building
Okay.
downtown on the square.
I noticed the new mural going up.
I know. Mark Bean, our former mayor, he started working on his building and getting it up and running and in a position, and like the brick itself, to be able to do murals on it.
Okay.
So he did a challenge to the art students in Newton, Deweyville, and Burkeville of his parents at their old grocery store here in Newton,
Right.
because it was the site of the grocery, the Bean and Fletcher grocery store.
Okay.
And so that challenge went out. Newton came back with their students' artwork and sketches, and then one of the teachers, art teachers, is doing the mural, and then the students, the winners, they will participate in painting and signing their names, so that when they're driving through or driving by,
Sure.
it's a wonderful memory for them.
Right. Yeah, I think those are. Now, you guys have also done some cleanup stuff.
Yes, Terry Woods and I and Christy Collins Staley, we cleaned out the alley in between the Barrow Building and the
Was it the old
barbecue
barbecue
shack,
place?
some kind of barbecue shack. So Terry and I started picking up all of these pieces of wood and throwing it in the back of her truck and Christy's truck. And so we got that cleaned out. And then we had Scott Hughes and his landscaping team try to get the vines off of the building and get the alley totally cleaned out of not just debris, but of the big vines.
Sure.
And then he also did the back of the Barrow Building. They mowed it all and they got as many of the vines off as they could. But some of the vines are in with the electrical wires, so
Wow.
we didn't want to
cause
harm
any
that
issue.
in any way. And then the city came through and cut down the dead tree with the big limbs that were hanging over some of the power lines, and so the city was able to cut that tree down so
Right.
it wouldn't be, a hazard.
Right.
Got all that cleaned up so you can see the mural that used to be there.
Right.
And I sent a letter to Coca-Cola Company asking if they would be willing to help us refurbish the Coca-Cola mural on the back of the Barrow Building, since
Wow.
it is part of our downtown community, and the front side of the Barrow Building faces the courthouse square. So with anything, it just takes a little bit of time to get the response back.
Right.
But I have a dear friend who used to be a board member for Coca-Cola, so she found the right person
Nice.
and sent that off to her contact in Atlanta.
Very cool. Very cool. So a lot of things moving forward for sure. So
I think so. And
Yeah.
it's all just good and wonderful. And we had a crew out when Terry and Christy and I were cleaning up the alley.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Bean was over power washing his sidewalks in front of his building, and we had kids in their prom clothes show up and have a photo shoot. It was great.
nice.
It was great.
That's very cool. Very cool. So what does this look like? What does this look like a year from now?
Well, I'm hoping that we continue to engage the community, gain new members, and with the gaining of new members, that we have additional projects. What I've asked many people, I go to the grocery and I run into people that I've known for years, and I say, hey, message me on Facebook. Just
Right.
use Messenger, send me your ideas. We have an evergreen listing of all the ideas that people send us. You don't have to ask me to send me ideas, send them to me,
Right.
so that we can add them to the list. And then what we'll go through, however many there are. So let's say I've got 10 different people sending me ideas,
Right.
and all 10 have one of them nearly the same
Sure.
or similar.
Yeah.
Well, that means that one needs to be a priority.
Right.
That needs to somehow we need to figure out a way. And where there's a will, there's a way.
Right.
We can figure it out.
Right.
We just need the help of the community and more people involved. It doesn't matter if we agree or disagree. What I think we can all agree on is that we want Newton to be happy and progressive
Right.
and sustainable. We want businesses to be able to thrive and to make a living for their families.
Sure, absolutely. So, when's the next meeting?
The next meeting is July 20th.
July 20th.
At 5:30 at City Hall.
Okay, and everybody is welcome.
Yes, everyone.
Everyone's welcome.
We post it on Facebook, on the Revitalization Facebook page, and we post it on what's happening in Newton County.
Okay.
And then our one of our fun activities, like super fun, is Touch a Truck.
Okay.
And that is August 5th at the fairgrounds, and we're partnering with Newton Fire Department.
Okay.
And so it's all about bringing your family and touching these big pieces of equipment, and some of the owners of these pieces of equipment will be able to help children sit in the seat and work the levers and all of that sort of thing.
Very
so
cool.
The city and the county are involved. We posted it on what's happening in Newton County and the Revitalization page.
Okay.
And we've asked as many people as possible, come and participate.
Yeah.
Bring your big equipment.
Right.
Allow these little kids, even high schoolers who say, oh, I would like to, figure out how to work all that if
Sure.
they've never had the opportunity. And then when you get students and children involved, the parents will come because
Yeah.
they'll take pictures of their kids on all of this because they're happy, they're fun, they're excited.
Sure.
And they'll post it all over Facebook. We'll get recognition that way of what we're trying to do. It is free. Just show up.
Just show up.
Just show up.
It's interesting in a world where nothing is free.
This is strictly a community engagement. It is about coming together as a loving, fun community and doing what we can.
Right. I think it's awesome, man. Honestly, I think it's awesome because, it's sometimes it takes a little bit of new blood mixed with a little bit of old blood.
Oh, definitely.
And then everybody taking their flags down and us saying, okay, we only have one flag here. It's our community.
Right.
That's what we're going to fight for.
Yes.
And let's move forward.
Yes.
So the next meeting for NRG is
July
20th,
5:30 at City Hall.
At City Hall. Okay. And so they don't have to RSVP.
Nope.
They don't have to write in
Nope.
their congressman.
Nope.
All they have to do is show up.
Yes.
Okay. Very
Just
cool.
show up, and you have room to talk. We're a casual group. Sure, we approve our minutes because we are working towards not-for-profit status, so we have
Right.
to maintain that.
Right.
But we want to hear from the community. We
Yeah.
want people to participate. We want engagement.
Absolutely. So do you want to put an email address out or something like that where they can contact you directly, or they can go to the Facebook page?
They can go to the Facebook page, Newton Revitalization Group
Okay.
on Facebook, or you can message me.
Okay.
And you'll find me through the Revitalization Group Facebook page. You'll find my name and just
Gotcha.
message me through Facebook.
I think you'd probably be the only Frida Dillenbeck here
yes, I am.
in Newton. So there you go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to get involved with your community, you don't have any excuses now. It's absolutely free, and all you have to do is show up. So sometimes showing up is the hardest part.
But we want the community engagement. We
Yeah.
want to hear from the people. Every voice should be heard.
Absolutely. Is there any last statements you'd like to put out to the people of Newton County?
Well, I would love it if everybody attended the Touch a Truck,
Okay.
because it'll be our big first community engagement, and it's about coming and enjoying and allowing the students and children to run around and touch all these big pieces of equipment. We'll have food trucks.
Right.
We'll have beverages, that kind of thing, so that it's going to be hot, but
Sure.
it's only on August 5th, Saturday, it's from 9 to noon.
Okay.
So it won't be part of the hottest part of the day.
Sure. Okay. Miss Dillenbeck, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to sit down with me. I've been looking forward to this interview.
Oh, thank you.
Just simply for the fact that I like to find good people doing good work. That's kind of my goal in what I'm doing. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're out there, get down to the Touch a Truck happening August 5th, and also get down to the next energy meeting if you're in Newton County. At City Hall, 5:30 on the 20th of July. And so if you want to touch base with Miss Dillenbeck, all you have to do is go over to the Newton Revitalization Group. But from a legal standpoint, it's Newton County, Texas, because there's 1,001 other Newton counties in the U.S. So anyway, if you like this content and you appreciate what we do, please like, share, and subscribe. Once again, our whole direction and our whole focus here is to focus on the people in our community doing good work. We appreciate you. We appreciate you for listening and tuning in. Continue to do good work in your community. We love you.